Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. This is a brand new podcast. Each episode, I will be reading you a piece of very short fiction. All of them are 1,000 words or less. My name is Thomas Flower, and I'll be reading you a short story called The Last Night. He didn't know it, but it was our last night together. I wondered if he'd suspected anything at all, if he'd even sensed what would be coming tomorrow. He hadn't, as far as I could tell. So we lay together in bed, the same way we had laid together every night for the last 5 years. Me with my head on his chest, and him slowly stroking my belly while chatting about this and that. I was listening, replying, doing all the conversational things I was supposed to, but my head was somewhere else altogether. Why had it come to this? We had been happy, I supposed. He had shared good times, I reasoned. But here we were still. Tomorrow it would be over. He stood up and walked slowly towards the door for the bathroom. As he left, the smile dropped from my face, and I allowed a wave of sadness that I had been holding back to finally rush over me. He didn't suspect, I told myself, because I'd been so good at hiding it all away from him. I was still playing my part, going through the motions of our usual routine and acting like nothing was different. Of course, something was different, very much so, but how could he know that? I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for myself. Could I make it through the night? I started worrying about crying in my sleep. He would see or hear or maybe feel the tears as they ran down my face, and he would ask what was the matter, and I would have no place left to run and hide. The whole thing would come crashing out and it would all be over. But then soon it would all be over anyway. What did it matter how it happened? Suddenly I was angry, with myself but also with him. Why was this happening anyway? Why hadn't I stopped things from getting to this point? Why hadn't he? If things had been different, we could have been celebrating our 6th anniversary next year. Yet here I was, waiting out the final night before the inevitable. Why hadn't I said something sooner, or why didn't I do something to change the things before it all went wrong? But maybe it isn't so wrong, I thought to myself. Maybe this is just how things turn out for us. I thought about how things had been, how happy we were when we were just starting out, and how sure we were that we'd always be together. Youthful naivety is so easy when life seems to stretch out before you with endless options, and when you're so sure that you'll always make the right choice, always with the person you love by your side. But 5 years later, and here we were anyway. Did the choices we pick really matter at all, I wondered? Were we always destined to arrive here, or was there something, somewhere back there, which could have been salvaged? I thought of our first date, of the beach, of time spent together doing nothing, of introducing him to new places and him introducing me to new foods. Our first date, our last, the hours and hours we had spent over the years just wrapped, warm and safe in each other's arms. Silently, I began to cry. I heard the toilet flush and the sink running. He would be back here soon, I realized, and so steeled myself to regain my composure. I owed him this one last night of simple, happy normalcy. With what was about to happen, he deserved that. Wiping away the tears, I lay back in bed, put on a distant smile, and forced myself to daydream away about something simple, inconsequential, and frivolous. Something where he wouldn't be able to see the storm of sad and terrible thoughts lurking behind my eyes. Opening the door, he shuffled through into the kitchen, getting himself a glass of water before bed, as was his usual way. That would be the last time I saw him do that, I realized, and then almost laughed aloud at myself. Why was such an inconsequential action so upsetting to me now? On any other day, I would barely have noticed him running through his daily routine, and now, all of a sudden, I wanted to cling to it and suspend it in amber. It's absurd. You're absurd, I thought, wanting to laugh and cry all at the same time. Just one cup of water. How can it mean so much to you now? Don't be silly. And yet I couldn't help wishing that I could go back to this being as mundane and uninteresting as ever, despite myself. I could hear him finishing the cup. Soon he would place it on the counter, and then he would be back in here ready to sleep. It was all so familiar to me, and it was all about to end. I needed to calm down, I thought. He'll be back here soon, and I was still determined not to let him see what was coming. I wanted him to be happy, even if it was just for tonight. Think of kittens, I told myself sternly. Think of clouds and trees and rolling hills and falling leaves. Anything that would make me not think of the one thing which was staring me right in the face. Each of those things reminded me of him, and tears leapt to my eyes again, but I fought them back and waited for him to come to bed. When he finally did, he looked at me, a little confused. Maybe he'd seen something in me, something unusual that he didn't recognize, something breaking the normalcy and the routine. "What are you thinking about, hon?" he said gently. "Nothing," I replied. "Don't worry. Let's sleep." Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I have been your host, Thomas Flower, and I hope you have enjoyed the episode.
The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, Nictate, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your preferred streaming platform.
And please join us next time for another piece of super short fiction.